industrial engineer. Then you got into finance. And from there, you didn't see yourself working in that domain. So you wanted to get back to tech because of your intern experience. So how did you go from that to Amazon's BA?
I wanted to be a data scientist. So business analyst wasn't really on my radar, but like I said, going back into tech was a priority for me. So I applied a lot. I applied to everything. And then the first time I tried, I think was 2 years out of college and got a few interviews, failed all of them. So couldn't move into tech, stayed in finance, felt bad about myself, but wallowing in my own self-pity wasn't going to help me. So I 1 year later, started applying again. This time got more interviews. Interviewed at probably 5 or 7 data science roles. Got rejected for all of them. But I did get this one Amazon business analyst role. And like I said earlier, the catch was a 40% pay cut. But I was like, I'll take it.
And that's crazy. 40%'s a lot. That's like,
it's a lot.
Yeah.
My manager at the time was like, we can pay you more money. I was like, it's okay. I'm already taking a 40% pay cut. I'm leaving. Yeah. No, but it's the right decision for me. In the long run, I ended up making way more. I don't know what it would have been if I stayed in finance, but it was the right decision for me.
Wait, you're like 2-3 years out of bachelor's? Is that what it was at that point of time? Right?
3.5 years, yeah.
And you already had it in your head that if what you value as a person in the next job, you'd value your path to tech in data science, not the comp. So I was at this university over the last weekend, and I was telling them, you need to understand what your, metrics are. What do you want to go after? Do you want to go after compensation? Do you want to go after like a long-term metric that you're not going to see today? Could be you getting into a field, you getting into management, like whatever it is that for you, but understanding that and going towards that.
I think at every point in your life, you should know what your priorities are. And that changes year to year, week to week, maybe not week to week, that's a little crazy, but it changes every few years, right? So at that time, my priority was getting into tech at all costs. But 4 or 5 years later, if you ask me the same question when I was looking for jobs, comp was my number one thing on my priority list. Right, at that point, I was already in tech. I knew I had a lot more bargaining power. And I didn't mind leaving tech at that time. But now it's like, you have to pay me what it's worth. So it's really, I think you're right. Just figure out what's important to you. Make sure you are able to articulate that to the hiring managers and to the recruiters if you're looking for a new job.
Yeah, being honest with yourself in terms of what you want and what you're willing to give is so important.
I was pretty intentional in the way I approached my career transition. I got to Amazon as an analyst and I realized my whole job was writing SQL queries. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is a very poor use of my time. Right? You're just writing queries to pull data for people all day long. I identified it as an opportunity for automation, right? I could build a tool that allowed people to pull their own data. And so I pitched the idea to our director and he loved it. And then I didn't do anything about it. And then a few weeks later, he's like, so what's the progress on this? And I was like, oh, I should probably start working on it. There's interest. We started building a database. I never built a database before. I have no idea what it entailed. But good thing is at Amazon, you can get AWS credits for free. So I could experiment as much as I wanted to. Yeah, that was very nice. So I just built an AWS database. I started building pipelines. Then I built like an Excel tool on top of the database and put everything in VBA. So nothing fancy. And that process of basically like taking my job and automating it and upskilling it by making it like a technical project helped me move from BA to BIE. But when I say helped me, that was like the evidence I gave. I still pushed for a promotion. I was like, look, this is what BIEs do. This is what I'm doing. I should be a BIE. I have a really wonderful manager. She helped me fight for that promotion, got that promotion. And then I spent a lot of time talking to product managers because I want to be a data scientist and I knew I had no product experience. And so I talked to product managers. I looked at their docs. I learned from them. And I started to get a sense of like, what is product and how does data fit into a product world? And I think those are the big 3 things that helped me get into data science. Upskilling myself, building really impactful projects, learning how to self-promote, and learning about product. That allowed me to interview again. At that time, I think it was like my 3rd time interviewing at Meta for a data science role. And those 3 things helped me get an offer that 3rd time I interviewed.
Yeah, and I love that the self-promotion part where you knew what the other job was. What this role does like, I do that, so I should be that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of people can get caught up because
Amazing.
they're waiting for someone to deliver that to them. But you know, you can definitely get lucky and have some really great managers and directors who are just like, hey, I just noticed that you do this thing and you should be promoted to this other thing. But I think a lot of the time you got to be, you know, no one's coming to save you. You got to be like, hey, pay attention over here.
Yeah. I mean, I think people say like you have to be noisy, right? You have to be like, here's all the things I've done. This is what I want. And
Mhm.
ask for it constantly.